tum kahan se aaya? And I quickly said, Swami, main Indore se aaya. And then Swami immediately responded, yes, yes, you are from indoor, not from outdoor. Offering my most prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Lord, Bhagwan Baba, who is verily present here at this very moment with all of us. Most respected Nimish Bhai, respected Ramesh Savanji, respected dignitaries, and my dear brothers and sisters. Every time someone introduces me and asks me to relive those moments spent with Bhagwan, I have a predicament at hand. The problem is, I feel like a dumb man who has been asked to taste a beautiful sweet, a very delicious sweet. And after having tasted that sweet, if someone is to ask you, a dumb person, that please describe the sweetness of that sweet which you have just had, the same kind of predicament is there every time. Because you have experienced him, you have seen him, you have believed him, you have followed him all your life. How do you say in a few words that enigma which has changed so many lives around you? But nevertheless, since this onerous task has come on this holy evening, we'll definitely try to justify by reliving those moments which Bhagwan had most lovingly spent with all of us. Since I am a student, I'll start with something. I have been a student of Bhagwan's, so I will just say a few words of what Swami had to speak about education, which all of you are aware about. Swami had verily said, the end of education is character. Education is for life and not for living. What exactly did Bhagwan mean by these huge statements which he had made? We never understood the implication of these statements until we really came out into this wide and wild world. I'll start with a story. Once upon a time, long back ago, hundreds of years back, when there were universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, and the like, students from far and wide places used to come there to get knowledge, upgrade themselves, and then go into the world. Those were the days when there were no buses, no trains, no flights. People had to traverse on a horseback, on a bullock cart, or various other means to reach those places. So there was this one student from a far-off village, let's say from Bombay, who decided to go to Takshashila across the subcontinent of India. And then while he was going, his father thought, how would he go on foot? So he gave him a horse. And he told him, my child, you take this horse with you and you stay in the university. You learn all what you have to learn and then come back and then you share that knowledge with everybody. Now this young boy went into the university there. He sought admission into the university, which he was granted. And then those were the days when there were no buildings, no classrooms, and grounds used to be the classrooms. Under a tree used to be where a guru used to conduct those classes. And while they would be they would be taking lessons and the guru would be imparting them knowledge, the horse would be grazing on the ground always, somewhere around there. Ghas kha raha hota hai ghoda. And he would always look at that horse and see, oh, he's like my brother, who has supported me, who has brought me here, and he's ultimately going to take me back. So after every class, he used to always look around and find that the horse was grazing there on the grounds. The time went on and passed on. 5 years passed, 6 years passed, 7 years passed. He was about to graduate from that university and he was getting very nostalgic. Then a day or so after that was the convocation ceremony, and in that convocation ceremony he said that he would be awarded a degree. And then he looked out of the window and he saw that horse grazing on the ground. Then a foolish idea came into his mind. I have stayed in this university for 7 years, so has this horse. I have heard everything what the Gurujans have told me, so has the horse. But I am being awarded a degree whereas this horse is not being awarded a degree. So with this thought in his mind, he thought, let me go down to my Vice Chancellor and have a word about it. So he promptly went to his Vice Chancellor's chamber and he said, sir, I have a small doubt here with you. He said, what is the doubt, my child? Sir, when after having stayed here for 7 years, I was awarded a degree. So why is my horse not being awarded a degree? Don't you agree that he stayed for 7 years? Don't you agree that he listened to all the lessons? Don't you agree that all what the gurus taught me, he also heard? So he also should be given a degree. So the Vice Chancellor thought he was joking. So he said, good joke, my child. He said, no, sir, I'm not joking. I'm seriously saying that. Please, I think my brother, my horse, ought to get a degree. The Vice Chancellor tried his level best to explain to him, but then, well, yes, he was not wanting to really look at that point of view. So exasperated, the Vice Chancellor commented, my dear child, in this university, we award degrees only to donkeys and not to horses. This exact is the predicament was the predicament before Bhagwan when he started off his colleges, his schools. There was no difference between a horse and a donkey. Degrees were being given. People were not understanding why and how of education. People even forgot the meaning of the words which were rich in meaning. A student was always known in Sanskrit as Vidyarthi. What is the meaning of Vidyarthi, if you ask me? Vidyarthi, in chaste Sanskrit, अगर हम इसका संधि विच्छेद करते हैं, तो it is forming of two words, विद्या और अर्थी. यानी वह व्यक्ति जो विद्या का अर्थ ग्रहण करने का प्रयास करे या विद्या का अर्थ निकालने का प्रयास करे, उसको विद्यार्थी बोलते थे. पर आज के इस मॉडर्न युग में विद्यार्थी शब्द का मतलब हो गया है वह व्यक्ति जो विद्या की अर्थी निकालने का प्रयास करे. और शिक्षक मतलब वह व्यक्ति जिसकी शिक्षा पर ही शक हो, वह शिक्षक. Up in this background, Bhagwan decided that there was so much commotion, there was so much of turmoil, there was so much of problems. How do you set about this house? And what did Bhagwan have to say? I quote him, which I remember verily in one of books of Dr. V.K. Gokak. He had commented this from one of Swami's lectures. And what did Swami have to say? The education system of any country is like a bank on which the country draws strong, reliable young men and women. When this system goes bankrupt, as ours has very nearly gone, it spells a national disaster. What is required is that the system needs to be totally overhauled and lubricated. I unquote. So with these feelings, Swami set about the repair job. He first started an institution way back in 69 in Anantapur. Then he started in 72 in Vrindavan. Then in 79 in Prasanthi Nilayam. And in between, they were interspersed with a college at Jaipur and a college at Bhopal. And then came a spate of hundreds of schools which spreaded through the length and breadth of this country. And when we sat down to take stock, we all thought there were 20 schools, 25 schools, 30 schools, 40 schools. And what do we realize? There are 100 such institutions which are there and following Swami's dictum, following Swami's philosophy and wanting to improve and wanting to bring out the same sense of excellence which Swami has been teaching to everybody from Prasanthi Nilayam. But there is a problem here also. Having said this, when I completed my education, I also faced a little predicament. I was told that, well, Swami wants to bring out a revolution in the field of this whole world by sending you students out. You are the ones who are going to transform the society. And we were given to understand that, yes, we are the torch bearers of Swami's education. So when I came out of the hallowed portals of Puttaparthi, I said, watch out world, here I come. I have to transform the world. So I came out and I looked around at the globe and I realized the world was a little too big. Why not take a smaller target? Because world, I mean, how do I go out? I'm a small person who's just walked out of the portals of Bhagwan's college. Who's going to listen to me? So let me not have too many big ideas about changing the world. Let me first try and change India. So I thought, let me start with India. So when I looked at the length and breadth of India, I realized even India was a little too big for me. Okay, so let me start with the state of Madhya Pradesh. There, at least I will go through the length and breadth and transform everybody. So with that idea, I set about and I realized nobody was willing to listen to you also. I said, what is this? Nobody wants to get transformed. Swami has told that we are going to be the torchbearers of this world, and we are going to change. We are going to bring around this magic change in this world. Then I said, okay, if not Madhya Pradesh, let me try to change my city of Indore. So I stood on a choraha and I said, okay, look Indore, here I come. I realized everybody was much too busy and my voice was drowned in the traffic around me. Nobody was willing to listen to me. Then I said, okay, Indore is also maybe not willing to listen to me. Let me try and change my colony. So I called all the people of my colony and I said, look, I'm going to transform all of you. They all gave me a very patient hearing. And just as a person looks at a guy who's mentally retarded, they gave that look at me and then they walked away. Nobody had the patience or the time to listen to me. Then I said, let me change one person I have total control on. And I thought, let me change my wife. What a foolish idea. Has a man ever been able to change his wife? Well, I thought I would go about doing it. And my wife had the last laugh. And what did she tell me? First change yourself. And then it dawned on to me that whom did Swami want to transform? Whom did Bhagwan wanted to change? Who was that change, that factor which had to begin from? It was not supposed to be the world. The change had to begin from yourself, from your own self. You had authority and the capacity to only change yourself. You cannot change anybody else in this world. And I was reminded of what George Bernard Shaw once said. He verily said, forget about the world, just change yourself, and you could be sure that there is one scoundrel less in the society. So this is how it goes, कि भगवान ने आपको जिम्मेदारी दी है, पर मात्र अपने आप को बदलने की. He doesn't feel that you are capable of reforming anybody or changing anybody or transforming anybody. And then I thought about the repair job, just as Bhagwan had once thought about for the whole country, the whole world. I first tried to bring about a little bit of transformation in my behavior, in my nature, in my day-to-day routine. And then I thought the first change which came onto was into my wife, who was more patient, who was more loving, who was more understanding, because I was genuinely trying to transform myself. Seeing my wife, my family also changed. Seeing my family, the colony also wanted to emulate us, that what a good family it is, what an ideal family it is. Looking at the colony, the people of Indore woke up and they said, there is something different about these Sai devotees. They carry themselves in a way which nobody else does. Definitely, there is a big sea change coming through the Sai culture which Bhagwan wants to bring around. And when Indore changed, we realized the waves went on to the whole state of Madhya Pradesh. And from the whole state of Madhya Pradesh, we see there is one Tribhuvan in every family who's trying to change. And when that person tries to change, the family changes, the nearabouts changes, the city changes, the state changes, the country changes, and at the end, it will be the world which will change. But then Bhagwan has said, the change has to begin very much first from ourselves. So with these few words, I would like you to first say, let us all go deep inside our hearts and find out what is that one change we need to bring about in our own characters. So that is one change would start. I'm also reminded of my student days when we were there with Bhagwan. We had a subject called organization behavior. That organization behavior subject was a difficult subject. It was the first year. We were the first year students in every class, in every field, in every subject. So there were a lot of experiments which were going on in the university then. And we did not even have a proper lecturer to come and teach us the subject of organization behavior. And then Swami, waves his magic wand, and out of Canada comes in a clinical psychiatrist by name Dr. Shankar Datta. I still remember him. A very learned man, a very efficient person as a guru, and who decided to stay for 3 months to take the whole semester, and he took these classes for us. And one day, he gave us an exercise. I think all of us can do this exercise. And what was that exercise? He said, take a pen and a paper and write down 3 negative qualities which you have in your own self. A very simple thing. Take a pen and paper, write down 3 negative qualities which you have in yourself. And I will give you just exactly 5 minutes for this. Now tick, 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 tock. The time went off. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. He said, enough. How is it taking you 10 minutes to write down 3 bad qualities in yourself, 3 negative qualities? I'm sure all of us know we've got so many negative qualities in us. Then he asked, a famous question. How many of you have 3 negative qualities in you? Everyone looked around to see who that culprit was who had 3 negative qualities in him. And nobody raised his hand. One boy, very sheepishly, he just, kind of raised half a hand to say, "Sir, I could identify 3 negative qualities in me." You're saying in Swami's college, meeting Bhagwan daily, and you have 3 negative qualities. And all of us like winners looked around. See, he had 3 qualities. Then he said, how many of you have 2 negative qualities in you? Quite a few of them raised their hands. Wonderful, you have 2 negative qualities, I'm glad. How many of you have 1 negative quality in you? There were few front runners who raised their hand. Then he asked one golden question, how many of you have no negative quality in you? There was one lone ranger who looked around like this with his hand straight up and like a winner, as if Bhagwan was going to come and give him a trophy. He said, "Wonderful, you are a very good boy, I am so happy. Now can we do the second exercise?" He said, "Okay sir, what is the second exercise?" Now, we were sitting in our bench. He said, the next exercise is, take a pen and paper, you are sitting with your best friend. Write down 3 negative qualities of your best friend in the next 5 minutes. And do you know what was the result? It did not take us 5 minutes. We took 2 minutes and we wrote 3, 4, 5 and one managed to write even 10 bad qualities in his best friend. So what does that denote? That we are always looking externally. It is so easy for us to identify something wrong with everybody. But when it comes to us, we are not able to find anything wrong. I may tell my brother Siddharth here, that Siddharth, the shirt you are wearing is dirty. Can't you see that your collar is all dirty here? So what he would say is, sir, even your collar is dirty. The problem is you're not able to see it. And what do I have to do? I have to go and stand in front of a mirror. And when I stand in front of a mirror, I realize that, oh my God, even my collar is dirty. And then I try to cover it up. So Bhagwan says, it's always very easy for you to point fingers at others, but then we are not here to point fingers. It is always self which needs improvement, and our journey has to begin with that one person which is yourself. Because भगवान बोलते हैं तुम्हें सिर्फ एक ही व्यक्ति को ठीक करने का ठेका दिया है, और वह है आप खुद. आपको किसी को बदलने का प्रयास नहीं करना, किसी को चेंज करने के लिए कोशिश नहीं करना, आपको सिर्फ अपने आप को बदलने का प्रयास करना है. So this journey of mine, which began long back in 1979 with Bhagwan, when I was a strapping young boy of 17 or 18 years of age, and I remember very categorically, one fine morning my dad and mom they called me after dinner for a meeting, and I was surprised, both of them sitting on a sofa set, and I was asked to sit on a chair as if I was going to give an interview. And my dad said, "Son, we have decided something for you." So I said, "Dad, what is it?" "We have decided that soon after you finish your higher secondary, you are going to go to Baba's college." So I said, "What is this Baba's college?" I was then studying in class 11. He said, "What is this Baba's college?" "Oh, haven't you heard? There is a college in Bangalore where the students, they live with Swami, and you know what? They sing excellent bhajans, they wear white and white, and they don't watch movies, they don't go around zooming on a motorcycle, they look like angels, and you must go there and seek admission." So my first reaction was, "Sorry Dad, you are looking at the wrong person. I am just not interested in going to any Baba's college. And tell me, when you are 17, 16, who wants to be good? Who wants to go down and sit down and do bhajans, meditations? I mean, this is the age one wants to sit on a motorbike and show off, maybe do a few stunts, go for movies, go for rock shows. I mean, everything which was represented by jeans, jazz and junk, that was my philosophy of life then. And I thought, who wants to go to Swami's college? It took them 1 year of brainwashing me and trying to cajole me into agreeing that why I should go down to Swami's college. So more to make them happy, rather than going with my own sense of saying that I would like to go and seek admission in Swami's college. I said, okay, let me oblige my parents. I'm such a talented person. I'll go and I can get admission and I can walk in wherever I go. My aim in life used to be, just get first division in whatever you do. You must always be above 60%, so nobody should say that you are a duffer. And I can share a secret with you. When I would write an examination, if I have attempted for 75% and I calculate that I'm going to get 65, I would leave the other paper. Okay, I'm going to get first division, now why go and sit down for 1 hour more and write it? That was the kind of an attitude I was there. And my brother, my poor brother as I call him, he's a Sida Sada fellow. He used to struggle so hard, he used to work so hard. but in spite of all that struggle and hard work, he used to barely manage to pass. And the day he would get 50%, we would have a party at home that my brother has got second division, because he was a branded duffer in my eyes. So when both of us were asked to go and seek admission in Swami's college at Bangalore, and as luck would have it, he had completed his 10 plus 2, wherein I was coming from Madhya Pradesh, which had 10 plus 1 plus 3. That time 10 plus 2 system was not introduced in Madhya Pradesh. So I went there. The first occasion I got a chance to enter Vrindavan, and what do I see? I find boys in white and white, looking excellent, simple, but they had a tej on their face. Some of them had applied vibhuti, and they were speaking excellent English. They were so humble. And I asked one of them, excuse me, can you please tell me where the principal's room is? So he asked me very confidently and very lovingly, sir, have you come for admission? He looked at me, my long hair, my t-shirt, my jeans, and those were the horrendous days of those bell-bottoms. The jeans were also in the bell-bottom style. So we were all, decked up in the early 70s heroes with that kind of hair. You can imagine what a joker it looks like. So we were standing there with the hands in our pocket and giving a style. And then this guy very humbly asks us, sir, can I lead you to the principal's room? I was very impressed. I said, if someone had asked me, I would have said, hey, go straight man, turn left and you'll reach there. But here was this guy who offered to take us straight to the principal's room, and there he announced, so Mr. Sachdeva from Indore has come and 2 of his sons are there, and I believe you have given them time and appointment for seeking admission. And Professor Narendra was very kind to bring us in. And the first thing he told me, which made my heart go so happy, he said, I'm sorry, your elder son is not eligible because he has done 10 plus 1 and he will have to do his 12th class. So we cannot have that interchange in the boards. However, your son has passed his 10th in the CBSE system, so we can grant him admission in the 11th class. So the smarter one, the better one, who always thought he had a right to get into everywhere, was punctured first at the very first stage by Bhagwan. And my younger brother, who was always the simpler one, the sober one, he got in first. So how did he get in? My mother used to write letters to Bhagwan, 1 letter every day before that admission came for 1 year. This I was told later. Then one fine day, before we were to leave for Bangalore, my mother said, write a letter at least to Bhagwan. Plead that you must get admission. So more to make my mother happy, I wrote a letter to Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, Post Office Prasanthi Mandir, District Anantapur, AP 515134, and I posted that letter. And it would have reached Bhagwan as all other letters do. And what did my younger brother do? He wrote a letter, and in the mandir where Swami's chair was there, he went and put that letter there. So whose prayer do you think reached faster? Obviously it was my brother, who had that faith, who had that trust. And I was more of a worldly type who never understood Swami. So my letter must have taken 5, 6, 7 days to reach Bhagwan, whereas his letter reached instantly. Swami gave him an instant admission and I was rejected. My father was very dejected, but I was very happy because I had told my friends that I'm going to last in that place not beyond a month or 2 months, because that place is not meant for me. So I was putting on a long face, but inside my heart I was very happy. And with that heavy heart, my father went and sought an audience with Professor Kasturi, Professor N. Kasturi, who is the biographer of Bhagwan and who was then staying in Bangalore in a place called Adugodi. So we reached his house and we met Professor Kasturi, and Professor Kasturi had to say that why don't you take admission if you are given a class lower? So I told Professor Kasturi they are willing to give me admission, but they say that you have to again seek admission in class 11th, sit with your brother, and that way I will lose 2 years in my life. So Professor Kasturi smiled at me and he said, son, in this age, if Bhagwan was to offer me to give me a chance to come and study in class 11, I would still jump at it and take this chance. Why don't you take this chance? 2 more years to live with Bhagwan. And my instant reaction was that something was wrong with the upper story of this gentleman. I really thought that way because I was myself foolish. It took me 30 years to realize, 3 decades to realize those golden words of Professor Kasturi. A few years ago, if Bhagwan had given me that option again, that I'm going to give you an admission in class 11, I would have left this home and hurt the family and everything and probably sought admission again in the class 11. Because then I understood his worth. Then I understood what Bhagwan stood for. Then I understood what a golden chance and opportunity you have at hand. But at that time, I laughed at him. Then I said, sir, if I take 2 years admission, that means 2 more years behind in my career, 2 more years behind in my employment, 2 more years behind in everything in life. And what was poking me worst, how can I stay with my stupid brother and study in the same class, whereas I am the smarter one? That was the kind of reaction I had in my heart, in my ego, which was there. So then he gave an option. Well, Swami is opening another college in Prasanthi Nilayam this year. It is going to be the first year in Puttaparthi. And that is going to be a different board. It is going to be Venkateshwara University and not Bangalore University. So why don't you try your luck there? So I went with my dad with a very heavy heart that, my God, Bhagwan has caught me. He doesn't want to let go of me. And that was the time I had an opportunity to have closer darshans of Bhagwan. And before long, I don't know what magic Swami did onto me. I wanted Bhagwan to talk to me just as he was talking to all those students who were sitting in the veranda from Vrindavan. I wanted Bhagwan to recognize me. I wanted Bhagwan to bless me. I wanted to be his student because of the fact that Swami was talking to all the students so lovingly and he was treating them like his own family members. I started praying for the first time in my life that, Bhagwan, I want admission in your college. My parents left me because of my affiliation issue. It took me almost 1 month, after which great difficulty Bhagwan gave me admission. And when I got the admission, that was the happiest day of my life. We used to sit just as you saw in darshans, in the portico. We used to sit down and Swami would come and welcome all the new children. And since ours was the first batch and the only ones to seek admissions, along with us were the 11th class students who were known as PUC 1. That was junior college then, it was not 11th class. They got admission there. So they were there 2 days before us, and those 2 days, that veranda was only full of laughter with Bhagwan. And Swami was making fun, cracking jokes, pulling legs, and students were having a gala time. And I was wanting more and more that how early would my admission take place. And then the day came, and I found myself sitting in the beautiful portico of Prasanthi Nilayam. And what I noticed the very first day was, Swami had this knack of recognizing which boy spoke which language. Now I knew that those who were very dark were South Indians. So I said, okay, now Swami is going to come. I was sitting behind, so I saw Swami coming. I said, now this boy, Swami is going to talk. Swami is going to talk in some South Indian language. Because we were coming from North and we never knew a differentiation between a Malayali, a Kannadiga, or a Telugu guy or a Tamil guy. We thought everybody was Madrasi. That was what we used to think, So we thought Swami is going to talk to him in South Indian language. So promptly enough, Swami came and spoke to that boy, something in Telugu probably, and he replied back to Swami in Telugu. Then there was this guy who looked like a typical North Indian from Delhi. So I said, Swami is going to come and speak to him in Hindi. So Swami came and rightly enough spoke to him in Hindi. Then there was one more guy who was very dark complexioned. I said, Swami is again going to talk to him in Telugu or some South Indian language. And then to my surprise, Swami went to this boy and spoke to him in English. And he said, Sir, where did you come from? What a beautiful question. Swami said, Sir, where did you come from? And that boy got up on his knees and he said in that typical American accent, Swami, I've come from the United States of America. And my God, I said, Swami knows, this guy knows only English. I would have spoken to him in South Indian language had I been Bhagwan. But then I said, Swami, how are you going to talk to me? Because I look like a South Indian, but I don't understand any South Indian language. So how are you going to talk to me? So I just looked at Bhagwan and smiled at him. And Swami came straight to me and he looked at me and smiled. And he asked me in Hindi, Tum kahan se aaya? So my God, I said, wow, he understands that I know only Hindi. I got up on my knees and I quickly said, Swami, main Indore se aaya. And then Swami immediately responded, yes, you are from indoor, not from outdoor. What a beautiful way of punning. What a rich message Bhagwan gave me. The first word he spoke to me, he accepted me lock, stock and barrel with all my avgunas, with all my negative traits, with all my shortcomings. He told me, you are from indoor. He pointed, you are from indoor, not from outdoor. And I was bowled over. And I fell down at Swami's feet and he patted me and he moved ahead. But this thing of language, iska jo language ka keeda tha, that was in my brain always. How does Swami know how to talk to which person and in which language? I mean, I'm sure Swami is God, but it doesn't reflect on my forehead. English, so Swami will immediately switch over and talk to him in English. How does Swami know that? So that was my first year, and I saw there was a Khalda stores, a general stores there those days in Puttaparthi, and we used to take turns to go and give duty there sometimes in the stores after bhajans. So it was our duty, and it was December, and those of you in 79, if you've ever been to Puttaparthi, trust me, it used to become a Bethlehem. It was not Puttaparthi. In December, come Christmas, it used to be so many foreigners that you had to look for Indians. There used to be chartered flights which used to be pouring in. Taxis used to be coming like, worms into Puttaparthi, and you would find foreigners getting out in all different dresses, hues, colors. Somebody would be having a red scarf, somebody's having an orange scarf, somebody's having a blue scarf to set themselves to differentiate which group they belong to. And behind the scarf would be the name of the country. So we were serving in the Khalda stores the other day, and that day we saw a huge group from Italy had come. And how did we know? They had a blue scarf, and on the blue scarf in red words was written Italia. This is how it was written. So we understood that this group has come from Italy. Now there were about 35, 40 of them who had come. And that evening, all of them came to the stores. Somebody wanted a shaving cream, somebody wanted toothbrush, somebody wanted whatever they needed. But then they did not know a single word of English. Somebody said toothbrush, so we gave them toothpaste. So they said no. And they would say something, so we would say, okay, they mean brush, so we would give them brush. Somebody would ask for napkin, so we would give them something else. Then we asked them for 10 rupee, they would give us 100 rupee and start walking. And we would have to go call them and then give them the balance. So we realized that these people cannot speak a word in English. So as we closed the stores down and we were walking down for our dinner, I put up a question to one of my friends who was a senior friend from Vrindavan, who had already stayed for 2 years in Vrindavan. I said, if Swami is going to grant an interview to this Italian group, in which language is Swami going to speak? Because normally I know Swami can speak in Hindi, Swami can speak in English, Swami can speak in Telugu, in Kannada. But how is Swami going to speak to these people? They don't understand a word in English. So this boy said, he was also fairly intelligent. And what did he say? He said, one of the persons in the group would definitely know English. And then Swami would give in English his discourse, and this person would translate it into Italian, and so everybody would understand. I said, that's how it must be. Otherwise, so difficult for Swami to communicate with these Italians. And next day, in the afternoon, as we sat for bhajans, I was sitting right in the front. Other group was sitting, boys were sitting. And Swami went to the ladies' side. And all these Italian ladies in their blue scarves and white dresses, you could make them out from miles away. Swami just blessed them all, but did not speak to any one of them. And as Swami crossed the ladies' side, he came to the gents' side. And the leader of the Italian group was also in whites with a blue scarf. And he looked at Swami, and Swami asked him a question. Italy? And he understood, and he shook his head. Swami said, go inside. Now he did not understand go inside, because he did not know a word in English. Swami again paused and said, go inside. And he looked at Swami and kept on shaking his head. And Swami walked away, because Swami said, Papam, I'm asking him to go for an interview, and this guy doesn't understand my signal. Then from nowhere, Mr. Craxi, who was an Italian and staying there, the Italian Prime Minister's brother, he was a resident there. He came running and spoke to him something in Italian, which gave him a jolt, which meant that please go inside with your group. Bhagwan wants to give you an audience. And suddenly he got up and he waved frantically to the ladies' side. All the ladies also got up, and with tears of happiness in their eyes that they had just landed up a day before, Swami has called them for an interview. They all sat down. We boys were sitting like this. The ladies were sitting in front of us, and the gents were sitting on the upper veranda. So ladies and between us, there was just a gap of about 7 or 8 feet, and I was sitting right in the front. Then Swami came, and he gave me a very naughty, mischievous smile, that all-knowing smile which Swami gives, which means that he is up to something. And I couldn't understand, and I just smiled back that, wow, Swami smiled, he acknowledged, and I was happy. Then Swami went to the Italian lady who had a letter in her hand, and I heard with my own ears, Swami spoke something to that lady, which was not English, which was not Hindi, which was not Telugu, which was not Kannada, it was not any Indian language. It sounded something like Trantatro or something like that, which was something closer to Italian, I understand. And that lady started weeping and fell down at Swami's feet. That means the communication was there. And then Swami turned back and folded his hands behind and came looking at me, and it did like this. And my God, I did not know how to react, because with my own ears I heard Swami speak in Italian. And then Swami told me, looking at me straight, outside, he spoke in English, outside I show I don't know anything, but inside I know everything. No? He did. And I all did, I shook my head. I said, yes, Swami, you are speaking in Italian in front of me. What more can I say? That you are really Sarvagyata. You are the greatest of Gyanis. I mean, language can be no barrier. When Swami says there is only one language and the language of the heart, that was exemplary shown by Bhagwan, that yes, there is only one language of the heart. And then Swami took them for an interview. In half an hour, all of them came out. Their faces were full of vibhuti. Their eyes had tears pouring out. Everyone had that blissful look on their faces as if you have touched me and I have grown. That was that feeling I could experience. And they were so blissful. I still close my eyes. It doesn't look like it was 40 years back, 38 years back. It seems like it was yesterday. And Swami is standing and looking at me and smilingly looking at those people who are going away to show that he has taught a lesson to one of his children there, which was for life. It so happened, while talking of languages, one more very interesting thing happened which you must know. Whenever Swami would grant an interview, he had granted a lot of interviews to the students. Whenever he would like us to learn a lesson or he would like us to understand some very important aspect of our lives, he would take that opportunity to grant an interview. So one day he took us for an interview, and what would be Swami's normal way of starting an interview? If it's a group which is Telugu speaking group, Swami would go first, make sure that the ladies go in first, then the gents follow. Then Swami would ask them to make way so that he could go and sit on his chair in the corner, turn on the light, the fan, and then close the door. And then he would sit, and the first word would be Em Samacharam, in that sweet tone of his. What is the news? If it's an English group. If it's a Hindi group, Kya khabar hai? And then somebody would speak something, and picking up those words, Swami would go on with his discourse. And after discourse would be the cream on the cake, which would be Swami would call you for a personal interview. So we would know that this was Swami's way of conducting interview. So one day we had a great opportunity that there was a whole group of Americans which Swami called. And as you know, Americans all speak English. And out of that there was one boy, 16 or 17 years old, who had come to Puttaparthi for the first time. And they had been in Puttaparthi for almost 10 or 15 days, and it was the second interview or the first interview, I don't remember. Swami called that group. When they went in, Swami sat on his chair, and then he spoke in Telugu. Em Samacharam, Emandi, Ippudu Charu. Swami spoke all those words, and then he spontaneously flew into Telugu. He started giving a discourse into Telugu. For the next 5 minutes, we were looking at Bhagwan and looking at the Americans, and looking at Bhagwan and looking at Americans. The Americans were looking at me and looking at Bhagwan, that at least you tell that we are not understanding anything. Now how can you stop Bhagwan in between when he has set his mind to speak in Telugu? Then he looked around everybody. Suddenly he saw that look of confusion and those eyes changing hands and people looking here, people looking there. Suddenly Swami said, oh, I forgot. You guys only speak English. No, Americans speak English. But today discourse in Telugu. Who is going to translate? So everyone looked at me and I looked down because I did not know a word in Telugu then. Everyone looked at me thinking I'm going to translate. No, it was not me. It was not supposed to be me. And then Swami looked at that young boy who was there, 16 or 17 years old. Swami said, you translate. So he said, Swami, but I am coming. Shh, you translate. That's it. Swami was going in that superfluous Telugu of his, that poetical Telugu of his, and whatever Swami would speak, this boy would translate it into excellent English with that proper American accent. And all the people, they were, instead of enjoying the discourse, they were looking at Bhagwan, looking at the boy, looking at Bhagwan and witnessing a miracle that a child who has come for the first time from America, how does he understand Telugu so well? So all of them thought that this is a big miracle which Swami is showing. So soon after the interview got over, that was a miracle which all of us saw. We all came out and everybody started congratulating that boy. And they said, my God, what lovely translation you did. I'm sure you must have called for that book, Learn Telugu in 30 days. And you must have learnt that Telugu. And Swami knew that you could speak in Telugu. That's why Swami asked you to speak in Telugu. See what lovely translation you did in Telugu. Very good, wonderful. God bless you. And all that. Everyone came and congratulated him that lovely you translated. And the guy was giving such a funny look on his face. Telugu? What Telugu? Then after that, when the last guy came to him and congratulated, he said, please excuse me. It was not Telugu. All this while I heard Swami speak in English. Only thing, the accent was Indian. I just copied every single word of what Swami spoke in English and spoke in an American accent. So it was so easy for me to do. So now imagine a group of 40 people sitting in a room. To that person whom Swami says you translate, he hears it in English, rest everybody hears in Telugu. So can language ever be a barrier? Where the hearts meet, where Bhagwan comes, he is a true winner. He closes you, he draws you. And would wonder, why would Swami draw you so close? Why would Swami give you these experiences? Why would Swami let you go through this beautiful stage of interview and understand? Because Swami was sowing that seed of samskara into you. He was putting that seed. And what does Swami say about chamatkar? He says, when I put chamatkar, when I show a miracle, chamatkar, after seeing the chamatkar, you get drawn towards me. When you get drawn towards me, I sow a seed of paropkar into your heart. And when you get that paropkar, with that paropkar, seed of paropkar in your heart, you go to the society, you can go there and do sakshatkar. This is what? A whole stage which comes in, it is chamatkar, chamatkar se paropkar, paropkar se sakshatkar. This is how a whole ladder goes with Bhagwan, wherein he gives you that miracle. And that instills faith in you, and it makes you understand that how small you are and how Swami is really, really driving your force. Now here, I would like to take a break and ask you a small question. I've been a teacher, so you'll pardon me, and with Pitre Saab being here also, who has always asked us to be always communicative while we are taking lecture and not have a one-way traffic. How many of us, I would like to ask a question, how many of us really pray? हम लोगों में से कितने लोग हैं यहाँ जो प्रार्थना करते हैं? Please raise your hands. I mean, if not this place, where will everyone would be there who does not pray? Any devotee of God always prays. You take a small child, you take an elderly man, all of us always pray. So would you like to know how you should pray and what you should pray? Has anyone told you what you should pray and how you should pray? So this happened to us one day. One day, we were sitting in the portico and Swami was talking to us. And Swami said, tomorrow I want to come to your hostel. And our hostel used to be the old hostel where the Vrindavan boys come and stay, just behind where East Prasanthi gets over, and that block is there. And we were all 70 of us in that one room. There were 3 floors. There was no space. You had enough space to just keep your suitcase and your bedding, but then there was so much of space in Bhagwan's heart for us. Those hardships did not matter to us. There was 44-degree temperature in Puttaparthi. There were no fans in that dormitory. There were just 3 or 4 bathrooms on each floor. But then Swami gave so much of love that 44 degrees we never felt. We always felt that we were sitting in Ooty because that mother's, that coolness of that mother's love which was always there protecting us. And I remember Swami used to tell us, "Yahan bahut garam hota na," and we would all shake our heads, "Haan Swami, bahut garmi hai." Watch my word, Swami told this. अभी तुम देखना, मैं एक दिन आता, मैं पूरा का पूरा पुट्टपर्ती को ऊटी का जैसा वेदर बना देता. This was Swami's word. एक दिन मैं पुट्टपर्ती को पूरा ऊटी का वेदर बना देता. And we would come outside and look at the hillocks, the mountains which were barren, absolutely brown, not a stretch of green. And now when we go, after so many years, we realize the temperature has cooled down, things have changed. It is moving in the direction where Swami had promised. It may not have turned into Ooty, but it is really not what it used to be in the 70s. If you have not experienced, you're lucky. Because that is one part of the weather. Because our warden used to say very lovingly that in Puttaparthi you have only 2 seasons. One is hot and second is very hot. So this is how it used to be, and we have experienced both those things. But then there was one thing which always gave us a lot of coolness, which was Swami's love. So that evening, Swami said, tomorrow I'm going to come to your hostel and I'm going to tell you how to pray. Now, my God, Bhagwan is going to tell us on the power of prayer. So we all wore our best whites and sat down there. Some of us, even those who were using our best aftershave and perfumes, we put those also and sat right in the front. And since we were seniors, we were permitted to sit in the front, and Swami was there. And then Swami started his discourse on the power of prayer and how prayer can move mountains. And he gave beautiful examples from the lives of Guru Nanak, Akbar, Surdas, from Narsim Mehta. He gave plenty of examples of how these saints raised their consciousness for God to respond. Then he said, "Tumko malum ya jitna log Puttaparthi mein aata, they are all like beggars," Swami said. So we all looked at Swami. What, Swami? You know, all my devotees, they are constantly asking Swami something or the other. They constantly ask God something or the other. Do we or do we not consciously put your hand on your heart and ask, क्या हम भगवान से प्रार्थना में कुछ ना कुछ मांगते नहीं हैं? हम सब मांगते हैं, क्योंकि वो हमारा सर्व देवता गुण, वो हमारे पिता हैं, हमारे माता हैं. ही इज अ डिवाइन मदर एंड फादर. अगर हम उनसे नहीं मांगेंगे तो किससे मांगेंगे? तो स्वामी बोले, मेरे जितने भी भक्त हैं वो सब मुझसे कुछ ना कुछ मांगते हैं. उनको किसी को धन चाहिए, किसी को दौलत चाहिए, किसी को नाम चाहिए, किसी को शोहरत चाहिए, किसी को इज्जत चाहिए, किसी को मिनिस्टरशिप चाहिए, किसी को प्राइम मिनिस्टरशिप चाहिए, जिसके पास एक मकान है उसको 2 मकान चाहिए, जिसके पास एक गाड़ी है उसको 2 गाड़ी चाहिए, जिसके पास बच्चे नहीं है उसको बच्चा चाहिए, जिसके बच्चे हैं उसको शादी करवानी है, जिसकी शादी हो गई उसके लिए संतान चाहिए. तो ये सब चीजें भगवान मुझसे मांगते रहते हैं. भगवान बोले, ये जितने भी मेरे डिवोटीज हैं ये सब मुझसे कुछ ना कुछ मांगते रहते हैं. नाउ बिफोर आई स्टार्ट ऑन कंटिन्यू विद दिस, I used to also ask something from Bhagwan in prayer. And what was that? For the 3 months, I had already spent a stretch of 3 months in that first year. And every time the bhajan would get over, there was a meditation session inside the hall. And after, as you would get out, there was a Dashavtar gate. And around the Dashavtar gate, there was a beautiful statue of Lord Ganesha with a red background there. So I would go down to that statue of Lord Ganesha. Okay, please listen carefully. I would go down to the statue of Lord Ganesha, touch his feet, and I would say, भगवान मुझे विद्या और सद्बुद्धि दीजिए. क्या मांगता था? विद्या और सद्बुद्धि. Why विद्या? Because भगवान has said that विद्या is that ornament. विद्या वह गहना है कि कोई चोर तुमसे छीन करके ले जा नहीं सकता. और जिसके पास विद्या रूपी गहना है वह व्यक्ति को कभी भीख मांगने के लिए हाथ आगे नहीं बढ़ाना पड़ता. वो जहां जाता है उसको रिस्पेक्ट मिलता है, उसको नाम मिलता है, उसको इज्जत मिलती है. तो मैंने कहा इसलिए पहले विद्या मांगो. So I asked for vidya. And why सद्बुद्धि? Because अगर सद्बुद्धि होगी तो भगवान के बताए मार्ग पर चल पाएंगे, सद्कार्य कर पाएंगे. तो मैं कॉन्स्टेंटली 3 महीने तक निरंतर गणेश जी को बोलता था कि भगवान मुझे विद्या दीजिए, सद्बुद्धि दीजिए, विद्या दीजिए, सद्बुद्धि दीजिए. अब भगवान के भी कान पक गए होंगे सुन सुन करके, क्या मांगता रहता है, विद्या सद्बुद्धि, विद्या सद्बुद्धि. So भगवान thought today is the right time to teach him a lesson. So that day, Swami said, all my devotees keep asking me all kinds of things. Somebody wants wealth, somebody wants name, somebody wants fame, somebody wants power, somebody wants cars, bungalows, marriage, children, you name it and everybody wants it. But do you know, there are some devotees who are sitting here, they don't ask any worldly things from me. You know, what do they ask in your prayers? And then he again looked at me. I was sitting right in the front. He looked at me. And then he pointed towards me and he said, there are some devotees who ask in their prayers only for vidya and sadbuddhi. No? And my God, I felt an arrow came and hit me straight into my heart. I said, my God, ये तो dial wrong number हो गया. मैं तो प्रार्थना गणेश जी को करता था. मुझे क्या मालूम कि भगवान के पास hotline है and the whole prayer is getting transferred to Bhagwan. And Bhagwan in front of everybody revealed that there are some devotees who don't ask for worldly things. They're asking for vidya and sadbuddhi. Then I thought, at least he has admired that I am not asking for anything worldly. But then Swami said, why do you ask for these trinkets in your prayer? तुम क्यों मांगते हो ये फालतू की चीजें प्रार्थना में? क्यों मांगते हो विद्या और सद्बुद्धि भी? क्यों मांगते हो धन, दौलत, नाम, शोहरत, इज्जत, पैसा? तुम जो मांगोगे तुमको मैं प्रार्थना में दूंगा, पर उसके साथ का प्रॉब्लम भी तुमको आएगा. पैसा मांगोगे तो इनकम टैक्स का प्रॉब्लम भी आएगा. हाँ, कुछ और मांगोगे तो दूसरा प्रॉब्लम भी साथ में आएगा. सो डू यू नो व्हाट यू मस्ट आस्क इन योर प्रेयर? अब जब स्वामी ने बोला, डू यू नो व्हाट यू मस्ट आस्क इन योर प्रेयर? सो वी ऑल shook our heads and he said, Swami, we don't know, we are your children. Swami said, come, I will reveal a secret to you कि तुम लोगों को प्रार्थना में क्या मांगना चाहिए. Then we took the liberty and moved forward. कि अरे Swami is going to tell us a great secret. Let's not miss out even a single word. And would you like to listen to that secret? What we must pray? We may be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years of age. But whatever life is still left, let us understand what Swami said. Swami said, why do you want wealth, health, money, power, this, that? Don't ask for anything in these prayers. Just ask for me and me alone. Just ask for Bhagwan. And do you know why? स्वामी said, do you know why? Because स्वामी के हाथ में है धन, दौलत, इज्जत, शोहरत, नाम, पैसा, विद्या, सद्बुद्धि, सब कुछ भगवान के हाथ में। एक बार तुम भगवान को मांग लोगे तो पैकेज डील तुम्हारी हो जाओगी। अगर सिर्फ विद्या मांगोगे तो विद्या मिलेगी, पर हो सकता है विद्या के साथ दरिद्रता मिले। सद्बुद्धि मांगोगे तो सिर्फ सद्बुद्धि मिलेगी, शायद भगवान ना मिले। पैसा मांगोगे तो इनकम टैक्स तो खड़ा ही है। हाँ, नाम शोहरत मांगोगे तो जेलिसी मिलेगी। मतलब कुछ ना कुछ मांगोगे तो उसके साथ कुछ दूसरा प्रॉब्लम है। तो अपनी प्रार्थना में केवल भगवान को मांगो, क्योंकि जब तुम भगवान को मांगोगे तो तुम्हें जो चाहिए वो सब कुछ मिल जाएगा। एंड देन स्वामी गेव अ ब्यूटीफुल एग्जांपल। स्वामी सेड, एक छोटा सा बच्चा जब उसका जन्म होता है, वो घर में पैदा होता है, तो क्या होता है, जब वो सो रहा होता है ऊपर के कमरे में, मां नीचे घर में काम कर रही होती है, पिता जब शाम को घर में आता है तो बच्चे के रोने की आवाज आती है। अचानक बच्चा उठ जाता है, तो पिताजी क्या बोलते हैं, अरे अरे देखो उसने सुसु कर दिया होगा, कपड़े गीले कर दिए होंगे। तो मां नीचे बैठ के बोलती, नहीं नहीं, उसको भूख लगी है इसलिए रो रहा है। तो पिताजी सोचते हैं मां तो नीचे बैठी है, बच्चे ने तो रोया है सिर्फ, मां को कैसे पता कि इसको भूख लगी है। Sure enough, he goes and checks up, so he finds, yes, the mother is feeding the child. That means the child was actually hungry. Ab next day, the father comes again. Again he hears the child cry and he tells the mother, अरे वो बेबी उठ गया, लगता है उसको भूख लग रही है। तो माँ कहती, नहीं नहीं, उसको मैंने आधा घंटा पहले फीड कराया था, अभी उसने सुसु किया होगा, उसने कपड़ा गीला कर दिया होगा, so I need to go and change the nappy. Again, husband says, इसको कैसे पता नीचे बैठे बैठे कि उसने सुसु कर दिया? He goes up to check and sure enough, the child has actually wet the clothes and the nappy needs to be changed. Then Bhagwan said, जब एक शारीरिक रूप से माँ को पता चल जाता है कि उसके बच्चे की आवश्यकता क्या है बिना बोले, तो क्या इस दिव्य माँ को नहीं पता कि मेरे इतने सारे बच्चों की क्या आवश्यकता है? क्या उनके संसार की जरूरतें उनको मुझे बोलनी पड़ेंगी तभी मैं दूंगा? क्यों मांगते हो धन, दौलत, नाम, इज्जत, शोहरत? बस केवल भगवान को मांग लो। अगर एक भगवान को मांग लिया तो ये पैकेज डील है भगवान के हाथ में, ये सब तुम्हारा हो जाएगा। एंड व्हाट डिड भगवान हैव टू से? जब महाभारत का युद्ध हो रहा था, स्वामी कंटिन्यूड ऑन दिस, जब महाभारत का युद्ध हो रहा था तो भगवान कृष्ण दोपहर में आराम कर रहे थे और दुर्योधन उनसे मदद मांगने के लिए आए और उनके तकिए के पास, सिरहाने के पास बैठ गए। थोड़ी देर बाद अर्जुन आए और वो उनके चरणों के समीप बैठ गए। जो ही भगवान कृष्ण की निद्रा टूटी, उन्होंने आंखें खोली तो क्या देखते कि सामने अर्जुन बैठा है। तो उन्होंने पूछा, क्यों पार्थ, तुम कब आए? तो पीछे से दुर्योधन ने अपना गला साफ किया, भगवान मैं भी आया हूं और पहले आया हूं। तो भगवान ने कहा, अरे दुर्योधन स्वागत है, आगे आकर के बैठो। और उनको मालूम तो था कि वो क्यों आए हैं, फिर भी उन्होंने अपना एक दिव्य नाटक किया और क्या कहा, दुर्योधन कैसे आए हो तुम? तो उन्होंने कहा, महाराज आपको तो सब मालूम है कि महाभारत का युद्ध होने वाला है, हम चाहते हैं कि आप यह बताएं कि आप किसकी तरफ से युद्ध लड़ेंगे। तो भगवान कृष्ण ने उस समय बोला कि यह एक धर्म युद्ध हो रहा है, तो इस धर्म युद्ध में मैं योद्धा के रूप में नहीं लड़ूंगा, मैं हथियार लेकर के नहीं लड़ूंगा, मैं आपको एडवाइस कर सकता हूं, गाइड कर सकता हूं, पर मैं लड़ूंगा नहीं। पर हां, एक तरफ मैं अकेला रहूंगा बिना शस्त्र के, और दूसरी तरफ मेरी लाखों की जो सेना है अस्त्र शस्त्र के साथ, आप वो ले सकते हो। तो दुर्योधन तुम क्या लेना चाहोगे? अब अर्जुन को परेशानी होने लग गई कि भगवान ने पहली चॉइस दुर्योधन को दे दी है, अब दुर्योधन ने कहीं भगवान कृष्ण को मान लिया तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगी। बट देन व्हाट डिड दुर्योधन आस्क लॉर्ड कृष्णा? उसने बहुत सोचा और कहा कि भगवान कृष्ण जैसा अद्वितीय योद्धा तो कोई है नहीं, अगर भगवान ने अस्त्र शस्त्र ही नहीं उठाने हैं तो फिर भगवान को लेकर के क्या फायदा? ये शस्त्र से लेकर लड़ाई तो करेंगे नहीं, एडवाइस देने के लिए तो गुरु द्रोणाचार्य, भीष्म पितामह, कर्ण, शल्य सब लोग हैं मेरे पास में। तो उसने कहा कि फिर अपन एक काम करते हैं, इनकी सेना ले लेते हैं, और सेना ले लेंगे तो उसके बाद में हमारा पलड़ा भारी हो जाएगा। तो सोच समझ के उसने कहा, भगवान चूंकि आप युद्ध नहीं कर रहे हैं तो मैं आपकी सेना लेना चाहता हूं। और भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन की तरफ देखा तो अर्जुन नतमस्तक होकर के श्री कृष्ण के चरणों में गिर गया और उसने कहा, प्रभु मुझे केवल आप चाहिए, केवल आप चाहिए प्रभु। एंड स्वामी सेड, रेस्ट इज हिस्ट्री, बिकॉज अर्जुना चोज लॉर्ड कृष्णा, he got name, fame, power, wealth, everything, and more than anything else he got the Gita Gyan. Did he ask for anything? He asked, he chose between the world or the Lord, he chose the Lord. तो जब भी हमारे पास चॉइस हो तो भगवान कहते हैं, मुझसे ये ट्रिंकेट्स मत मांगो, मुझसे छोटी छोटी चीजें मत मांगो, अगर मांगना ही है तो इस प्रार्थना में मुझे मांग लो। और भाइयों और बहनों, यकीन मानिए, उस बात को 1979 सितंबर की बात है, आज इतने बरस बीत गए हैं, मैंने आज तक भगवान से कोई भी सांसारिक वस्तु नहीं मांगी। पहले विद्या और सद्बुद्धि मांगी और उस दिन भगवान ने पाठ सिखा दिया। उसके बाद कोई सांसारिक वस्तु नहीं मांगी, और जब भी मांगा है केवल भगवान को मांगा है। और जब भी देखा है कि जब उस भगवान को मांगा है तो बिन बोले वो आपकी झोली भर देता है। आपकी झोली में शायद समाने की जगह नहीं है, इतना आशीर्वाद भर देता है। तो यह एक एक्सपीरियंस है, यह एक अनुभव है जो हर एक व्यक्ति को अपने जीवन में अनुभव करे बगैर इसका ज्ञान नहीं हो सकता। How much time do I have? Okay. While we are talking of prayer, a very funny incident happened in my life. I called it funny because I was a small boy, I was a small child who was learning at the lotus feet of Lord. I haven't spoken much about this episode, but since I thought we are staying in a family and it might be of some help to all of us, I thought I'll share it with you. After passing my BCom, there was a gap in between before I could join MCom. Admissions for MCom had taken place and my admission had not really taken place for some technical reasons. I was staying in Prasanthi Mandir, attending bhajans and singing bhajans morning and evening, having great darshans and enjoying life, not going to college, not going to hostel, because the hostel boys could have darshans only in the evening, whereas I was having darshans morning and afternoon, and it was great fun to be in Swami's eyes every day. So one fine day, Swami decided that he has to teach me a lesson on something. He stopped talking to me. Now all those of us who have been ardent devotees of Bhagwan, we all know what a painful experience it is that when Swami comes and refuses to recognize you, he sees through you, he talks to the person next to you, in your side, on this side, around you, he doesn't recognize you, doesn't look at you, he doesn't talk to you, he'll ask all questions to everyone around you, about you also, but will not look at you. And what was that? That is a time when one needs to go into self-introspection, Atmanirikshan. One has to go and understand, why is Swami putting me into this treatment? Why is Bhagwan not talking to me? So it so happened, that was that phase, that after a month or so, I was sitting there singing bhajans, but Swami had stopped talking to me. And I was trying my level best to draw Swami's attention, asking myself, where am I going wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why is Bhagwan not responding to me? Why is Bhagwan not talking to me? So I would keep on trying to say, but Swami thought I was invisible. He would look through me. Even if I sit in the front row, he would not talk to the boy sitting with me, lest he comes closer to me and I might take his pad namaskar. He was avoiding me purposely. And I kept on praying for Bhagwan. I kept on praying, but Swami would not respond. Then one morning, Swami announced that this afternoon we have started a school in Bukkapatnam, a school, and I would want some hand-picked boys to come upstairs in the afternoon. We will take some dresses, some clothes, some books, some stationery, and we would give to all the children in that village school, which was started by Central Trust way back in 1983, I think. It was Bukkapatnam. And then Swami again went around picking up boys. Yes, you come, you come, you come, you come. And I was sitting and I kept on praying to Swami. I had stretched my neck. I would change my position that Swami would notice me. But Swami refused to notice me. And he took about 15 boys and my name was not there. And in fact, that idea of Swami calling you upstairs in the afternoon in his sanctum sanctorum, that place where Swami lives, I mean, imagine what kind of luck you should have to go up there and Swami would be sitting and Swami would be directing, put this bundle here, put this bundle there. And not that there used to be big work, it is just that Swami used to give an opportunity to share that bliss and that joy of being in his closeness. So that morning when the bhajans got over, I was so crestfallen, I was so dejected, I was so hurt. I kept on saying, Swami, what is this? This is not done. How can you do this? I'm trying to do my best in whatever way I can please you. You're not talking to me. You're not looking at me. You're not doing anything. Swami, please respond. Please respond. Please respond. And then I was reminded of something. We had done a play on the life of Paramhamsa Ramakrishna there. And Swami had told me personally, do you know how you must crave for God? When those direction sessions used to be on, Swami used to be sitting on the chair and he used to tell us. There was one scene wherein I was the Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, so I had to pray to Mother Kali and cry out that, Ma, why don't you reveal yourself to me? Why don't you give darshans? There are other devotees whom you gave darshans, but why haven't you given darshans to me? So I have to plead my heart. But Swami said, no, not acting. You must feel that pain in your heart. You know how much that pain should emerge? As if you have been separated. Something has been taken away. I still could not probably come up to Bhagwan's expectations. I said, Swami, how do we feel that pain? Then Swami gave an example. He made us sit down and all the boys were there, and Swami said, one day Ramakrishna Paramhamsa was talking the same thing to Swami Vivekananda, and Vivekananda asked this question, that how should we miss God in our lives? See, when our child goes away, do we miss the child? We miss our children when they go away for studies, or when you get them married. When a daughter is getting married, invariably we have tears in our eyes. Don't we miss our loved ones? But do we miss God? Do we ever cry for God? So we said, no Swami, we don't really cry for God. He said, you must cry for God. And you know what did Ramakrishna Paramhamsa say? He said, your pain should be like when a child is born to a mother. After the mother has breastfeeded the child for 3 or 4 days, that child is taken away from the mother. How would the mother miss that child? How she would pray to God to get the child back? This is how it must pain in your heart. And let's say, coming home closer to the boys, he said, if you get married and after 2 days of marriage, the wife goes away to her mother's place, how would you miss your wife? You must miss your God like that. That is the kind of pain it must cause in your heart. So I heard all that and I realized, I said, Swami, I think you are testing me. I'm missing you, sure enough, but that pain is not there. And I must create that thing, and Swami, you have to do something. And trust me, I was crestfallen, I was broken. I felt my whole life has come to an end without Bhagwan not talking to me. At that time, you were a small child, not understanding that this is one way of Swami's style of giving you maturity, making you understand, also revealing himself. I kept on crying. After the bhajan got over, without speaking a word, I went inside my room, I closed my door, I took off my shirt, in my pants, on my vest, I sat down on my bed and I wept like a child. I said, why Bhagwan, why? आप मुझसे बात क्यों नहीं कर रहे? क्या कमी है मुझ में? मुझे क्यों नहीं बुला रहे? मुझ में क्या कमी है? मुझे ठीक करो ना भगवान, अगर मुझ में कोई कमी है. And before long I realized I was crying for Bhagwan like a baby would do, and I was rolling on the floor, not realizing. And I said, Swami, you had told me that if I cry like Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, you will come yourself. But Swami, if you don't come today, that means whatever you have told is wrong, and everything which I have heard is wrong, because today I cannot miss anybody else in my life. And if you don't come and knock at my door right away and right now, Swami, I'm willing to even give my life for you, but I want you, Swami. And I wanted Swami so bad. I was crying with tears flowing through my eyes. I was like a mad man, literally like a mad person. And suddenly there was a knock on my door. Oh my God, I said, Bhagwan has come. But I said, Swami has gone upstairs. How can Swami come down? I immediately wiped my tears. I wore the shirt, and it took me 5 minutes to, kind of come back to normalcy. And I opened the door, and there I find Mr. Chiranjeev Rao standing there. What a anticlimax if you look at it. I expected Bhagwan to be there. Trust me, I thought it is Bhagwan. And I saw Chiranjeev Rao standing there. And he said, are you Tribhuvan Sachdeva? I said, yes, sir. Is everything okay with you? Because he saw my eyes were bloodshot. I was still crying, and I was looking like a mad person with my hair. Probably that time I had hair. Okay, so my hair were all disheveled and all that kind of a position. So I said, yes, sir, I'm okay. He said, I don't know. Swami was giving instructions to me on that village. Suddenly he told me, you rush immediately, you go. That old hostel is there. That one boy, that Tribhuvan Sachdeva will be there. Just tell him that 1:30 or 2 o'clock be ready, and he should come upstairs to Swami's room. I forgot to tell him. So he's there in the room waiting for that call. So he said, Swami, I will go on my way and tell. No, I will give you instructions later. You go now. Swami literally threw him out of there, and Chiranjeev Rao came and he knocked at my door, and then I opened, I find him there, and he said, I hope everything is okay with you, because Swami sent me very urgently. So I again started crying. Then what is this, Swami? I cried for you. You actually sent. And then I looked at him, so he thought this was the Pichivadu, this was the gone case. So not really wanting to comment, he was a man of few words in any case. He turned back and left. Now I closed the door, and again I started crying. Now there were tears of gratitude in my eyes. I was saying, Swami, all what you told was right. All what you said was correct. For the first time in my life, I wept for you, Swami. I craved for you. And I said, Swami, if you are really God, you will come today. Swami, you did not come, but you sent your messenger and you told me, you made me understand that, Swami, my prayers are reaching you. And if it is hurting me in my heart, it is hurting you because you made him leave everything and come. And while I was thanking Swami and tears were still flowing out of my eyes, again there was a knock. I said, now who is this? This time I opened, there was engineer Jay Kumar standing there. Now he said, I don't know. Chiranjeev Rao came back, and Swami asked him instantly, did you give the message? He said, yes, Swami, I gave the message. What did Tribhuvan have to say? He just said, Swami, he will come. Okay. And after giving few instructions to Chiranjeev Rao, he again told me, hey, you go, man, you go. He's still there in the room waiting for a call. Go and tell him everything is fine. Swami is calling him in the afternoon. Don't worry, ask him to say everything is fine. Just go and tell. He again came and told me, Swami is telling everything is fine, don't worry. And then he asked me, is everything all right? Is there a problem in the family? I said, no. He saw me crying and he was wondering that this guy seemed to be a sane guy. Why is he crying like a baby here? And Swami is so concerned. He's sending again one after the other. Then I said, okay. And that day, I realized that all what Bhagwan says has a meaning. He says, you take one step towards me, I take 10 steps towards you. That was the day it struck me. कि भगवान को पटाना कितना आसान है. You have to crave for him. You have to pray for him. You have to literally ask for him and him alone. And when you do that, he comes running like he did for Sudama, like he did for his devotees, like he did for Draupadi, like he did for Arjun, like he did for everyone. And that afternoon, with a lot of guilt in my heart, I wore my best white shirt, my best white pant, and I went there and I was happily putting clothes here, there, making stacks. Suddenly I find 2 small little feet coming onto me and that orange robe right in front of my eyes. And I was not lifting my head up because I was guilty that Swami cried so much and troubled you so much and you had to send 2 of the messengers. And Swami looked at me with his hands folded back in that pose of his and he just said, And I just looked up Swami not knowing what to say. He said, hysteria. That is what he said, hysteria, full hysteria. Then I just looked at Swami and he said, love, not hysteria. Oh, I understood what Swami meant. No one understood what was there. Someone said, did you write a letter to Swami? Did you say something? Now how could I say that I behaved foolishly like Ramakrishna did before his mother? I did before my Sai mother. I cried for him. I prayed for him. I shouted for him. I was literally rolling down on the floor. What more can I ask from God? And then when he promised that whatever you ask, I'm going to give you. So this is what is the least, my dear brothers and sisters. We can go on and on. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. We can go on and on with the stories. Trust me, if you give me an opportunity, we can talk the whole night about his glories, about his miracles, about his blessings, about all the lovely time we have had. Words would fall short, time would fall short, but we would not get tired listening to his glory. One last word I would like to speak with you before I take leave from all of you here. There was this there were professors in our college days, and every time there would be birthdays, the young students would stand with a tray which had elaichi, long, and all those things. The Swami would come and take a long or a elaichi and would throw chocolates at the boys. But then the lecturers and all, they would not sit with a thali of all these things. They would just sit with a flower, a rose flower in their hand. And they would not go and sit with the students in the front. They would sit wherever they are. And as Swami would pass by, they would offer a flower. So I very distinctly remember, 1985 it was, December 1985, Swami had just completed his 60th birthday. And trust me, you know how Swami was so agile till the end. In the 60th birthday, my goodness, he was like a tiger, we used to call him. That is how he was, so agile. So, Bhagwan was just passing by, giving darshans to all the devotees. Suddenly this teacher of ours, he got up with a rose in his hand. And Swami stopped. And Swami asked him, Kya hai? He said, Swami, aaj mera birthday hai. Oh, birthday hai. And then Swami, lovingly patted his head. And Swami said, ha, chesko. And Swami moved a few inches away, lifted his robe, and he fell down at Swami's feet. And he, literally touched Swami's robe, his feet. And, he was grabbing hold of Swami. And Swami had that love flowing. You could see that. And then Swami said, how old are you, sir? Look at that grace, look at that beauty, look at that humility. Swami said, how old are you, sir? And that professor, who had a thick crop of grey hair, and looked at Swami, and he said, Swami, I am 50 years old. Abba, you are 50 years old, and I am 60 years young. Look at yourself. Your hair have turned all grey, and there are so many other professors. Some of them have turned bald. They are not even 50, and some of you have turned grey. But Swami is 60. I don't wear specs. I don't have any problem with my teeth, and I never use any color in my hair. And why is it that Swami is always looking so young? So he looked at all the boys, asking for an answer. And like we were always ubiquitous there in our presence, so we said, Swami, you are God. He said, Uddura, this has got nothing to do with God. Ram gayo, Ravan gayo. Anybody who's come in this world, anyone who's come into this physical form has to leave one day. And when I was a child, I am not anymore that child. When I was young, I am not all that young anymore. But why is it that Bhagwan is 60 years young and you are 50 years old? We all gave in our own ways different understandings of it, but Swami said no. He said neti, neti, odu, no, 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 no. And then Swami said, shall I give you the answer? Now it was high time. We said, yes, Swami, you have to break the ice. You have to give us the true answer for it. Swami said, there is only one reason for Swami to always look this young and this fresh always, and that is Chitta Shuddhi. When you are constantly thinking of good of the world, no bad thought will ever come near you. If you want to be like Bhagwan, you want to look young, you want to look young forever, have Chitta Shuddhi. And do you know how can you get Chitta Shuddhi? Impromptu discourse in the veranda, all of us sitting, Swami with his children, with his teachers, with all the people. He said, Swami, how can we give Chitta Shuddhi? How can we get Chitta Shuddhi? Swami said, personal sadhana. Regularly, each one of you must sit down for meditation for 10 to 15 minutes every day without fail. Don't miss out on bhajans. You might think it is a useless exercise. You don't know. This Nam Smarana is such a strong tool that it burns away all your sins. And whenever you can get an opportunity of rendering seva, never turn your back. Just follow this and you will have Chitta Shuddhi. The greatest mantra Bhagwan gave us, that if you want to stay young, some of us may have grayed, some of us may have lost hair, but I can assure you, we still look a little younger than what we are. And I think if we can say that confidently, it is because of Bhagwan's blessings, that He has ingrained that Chitta Shuddhi into your hearts. So today, as we go back to our homes, we must understand these three golden things which Swami has said. Being part of the Samiti, being part of the organization, how imperative it is for us to have Chitta Shuddhi. And he has given these three ways: meditation, Namasmarana, and chance to offer seva. And then what did Swami have to add more in this Chitta Shuddhi story? When you were talking about Namasmarana and all this, I think my mind has just flown away a little bit, whatever I had to say. Anyway, so the idea is, when Swami says that all these things, when you put them together, you will definitely get what Swami has to come to give you. So with this heart ever filled with Swami's love, always grateful for what He has given me, I may not have deserved even 10% of what I have in my life. But yes, it is His love, it is His blessings, and it is He and He alone who has taken us away from all our follies. He has taken us away from all our negativities. It is He alone who's going to ultimately make sure that, you cross this ocean of samsara. This love is like that. Khusro had once said, Khusro dariya prem ka ulti jaki dhar, jo utra so duba, jo duba so par. That is what Khusro says. And virtually translated into English, it says, Khusro says, that this game of love is such, it is like a river. Unless and until you step inside the river, you will not get soaked and you will not get drowned. You have to get drowned, and only once you get drowned will God take you away from this ocean of samsara. So let us all pray to Bhagwan that He makes us like that Khusro in our feelings, in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds. I am most thankful to Bhagwan for having given this golden opportunity to me to come down and share a few thoughts with all you brothers and sisters. And like I said, Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. We could go on and on about His glory, but I think I have touched the time which was allocated to me. So with my heart ever grateful to Bhagwan for all the love which He has given, I really pray to Bhagwan and offer my humble thanks to Him, and also offer that such opportunities be given to all of us more in the future, wherein we sit down, listen to His glory, live those moments back again, feel His presence amongst us, and as we go back home, let us be like those bees. I'm reminded, one day we were sitting in Swami's presence, and Swami looked at foreigners and he said, "Do you know who these people are?" And we said, "Swami, foreigners." Swami said, Oddu, not foreigners. They are far near to me. Not foreigner, far near to me. And why? He said, "Look, I am like a lotus. And you know what happens around the lotus? There are leaves. And you boys are like those frogs on that leaves. You are sitting near the lotus, but you do not understand the importance of the lotus flower. All my devotees, all my foreigners who come down, they are like bees. They come down, take that nectarine beauty of that lotus, go and build their houses." So dear brothers and sisters, when Swami Himself rates you all as those honey bees who come down and partake that nectar from His lotus, let us pray that Swami continues us to make us those bees wherein we come down to that lotus, take that nectarine beauty and go and build our houses, build a better society, build a better world. Thank you. Sai Ram.